Hey guys, I thought I would start a short video series on wild edibles. I'm here in Northern California, and we're talking real North California here, Shasta County, Siskiyou County, that kind of thing. We'll do Tehama, we'll do those areas a little bit. Anyway, thought I'd start off with a kind of easy one, and we'll go from there. It's kind of common. This is a dock or curly dock, and it's pretty much found. Variations of this are found throughout the United States, so you don't have to be in Northern California to find this. And around here it's not super common just because it's really dry through a lot of part of the year, but and this is pretty moisture, a plant that needs moisture. But we're in a low area here that's, you can see how green it is, which is kind of rare this time of year. So we're in a low area where there is some moisture, and there's a small river right over there. Anyway, let's stay on the point here. So this is dock, or curly dock, and it's kind of apparent where it gets its name, because it has these curly kind of leaves, wavy leaves on them. Now, some identifying features of dock is, see down at the bottom here, a lot of the shoots will come off right at the bottom, so it's kind of in a cluster at the bottom. And then as the main stem goes up, you'll see one leaf come off at a time in alternating pattern. So one to the right, one to the left, and the same thing goes on as we go up. And the stem itself has vertical ribs going up and down it, which are, you can feel them more than you can see them, but they're there. It gives it a little bit of texture. And like we pointed out before, or I pointed out before, that the leaves are wavy. And this plant has been, this plant is at least 2 years old. We can tell that because it has this big stalk and has these, all these seeds at the top, which we'll talk about in just a minute. And I'll show you a 1-year-old plant in a minute also. So these leaves, what happens is these leaves unfurl in the spring, so they kind of roll out and then spread out. And why the age or how long the leaves have been open matters, because if this is a wild edible, of course, but there's a couple indicators as to how good it's going to be. And the younger and earlier spring you harvest these, the better. They're more tender and less bitter. So if you can get them kind of as they're unfurling, they're really good, and they're lighter green in color. And you can see this one has some red in it, which is definitely going to be a little bit more bitter. And then even after they unfurl, you can sometimes see kind of equal distance between the stem and the outer edge of the leaf. There'll be a fold line there still, and then it's still pretty good to eat. Now you can eat it like this, but I would most of the time with dock, what I'd do is chop it up and, you know, cook it like spinach, you know, saute it in a pan, chop it up, rinse it under the faucet, and then just throw it in a pan with a little bit of olive oil, and just the moisture that's left on the leaves from rinsing them will steam it, and, you know, a little olive oil, garlic, things like that, and salt and pepper, and you're good to go. These stems, some people eat them like rhubarb, and I think they're actually related to rhubarb. I haven't tried that yet, but you can give it a shot. And the roots and these, I've heard of one guy that actually eats them, but I haven't found any that I found palatable at all. They're really stringy and woody, so it's, I don't know, I kind of tend to skip that. Anyway, on a plant that's more than a year old, because these are perennials, you have these seed clusters at the top, and you see it goes on for quite a distance here, and they're small, triangular shaped, and as these mature they go from green to reddish to brown. Let's see if you get a good view of that. Now these seeds, you know, in the fall when they're brown, they're really easy to harvest. You can scrape all these off in a plastic bag and bring them home and winnow them nicely. The one problem is that the seeds are in the center and you have all this kind of wrapper around it, which takes some time and effort to get off, to separate the seeds from these little triangular shaped kind of wrappers. So depends how into it you want to be. So anyway, that's curly dock. There's a couple plants here. You can see these are about 3 feet tall. And this is up in Shasta County, California. I said I was going to show you a year-old plant. And that's here. So again, we have the same kind of leaves through here, but there's no vertical stalks. So the first year they're just kind of a cluster to the ground, kind of like a dandelion, you know, low to the ground. So and there's some more throughout in this area here. Same characteristics. So the stalk, a little bit of red on it as the season goes on. Remember, when you eat this stuff, if you're going to harvest it, the earlier in the season, the lighter green, the better. So anyway, that's it. That's curly dock. Oh, one more thing is when you're doing wild edibles and stuff, you want to, little disclaimer here is find somebody that knows what they're doing and have them teach you as best you can. Now that's not always practical, I know, but my advice is to do that. Disclaimer. Get yourself some good books, and Samuel Thayer, I guess you pronounce it, has a couple books out, and these are fantastic. Better than the Peterson's guides, I believe. They go into these books go into much more detail. The photographs are fantastic. I'll even show you the section here in curly dock, so you can see the detail in the photographs here. That he goes into, and it just goes on and on. You can see there the brown seed pods for later in the season. It's the lighter seed pods, they're turning red, but just like the ones I just showed you, right? Earlier season, one less than a first year plant without the tall stalk. There's ones with the stalks coming up. So this is a fantastic book. Pages and pages of detail on each plant, and not only plant ID, but also ideas for eating it and what you can and can't eat and that sort of thing. And I find these books are the most accurate because I found mistakes in Peterson's guides. So I recommend the Samuel Thayer books, but regardless of what you choose, cross-reference, get on the internet, look at pictures on there, look at pictures on the internet, and get yourself a couple of variety of guides and that sort of thing so that you can cross-reference and make sure you know what you're doing, make sure you're confident in what you're looking at and that sort of thing. Check out YouTube videos. Just use a couple of sources before you go eating stuff. It's obvious, you guys probably know this, but I have to reiterate it because it's just the way it is. And I want you to be safe, I want to be safe, and that's, we want to have fun out here. So yeah, just take your time and be careful on your ID. But it's good fun. It's important to know your plants out here, know your trees and that sort of thing. And it's enjoyable to learn too. And you can get some good meals out of it, harvest this stuff and make a salad at home. So anyway, there'll be more later. I appreciate you watching, and thank you very much, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Though it seems though you are here at the side, I'm trying to reach out, but it's just in my mind. My body's too tense and too stiff to unwind. The rift in our bed is 7 miles deep. The edges are sharp.